Okay, this is our first video homework about software engineering program for CEC 327, and the topics are web service, REST, or XML, SOAP, JSONs, etc. But first we will talk about the web service. Is basically a standardized way to integrate web-based application using XML or SOAP or some kind of that things, where some kind of that applications we're talking about right now. And it is basically a open standard over an internet protocol backbone. A web service is any piece of software that work itself available over the internet and use a standardized XML messaging system. XML is used to encode all communication to a web page. For example, a client needs to invoke a web service by sending an XML message and waits for its corresponding XML response. Web service can publish, found, and 327 software on the course as video homework. I will discuss about this API system like web servicing, REST, REST, XML, RPC, SOAP, SOAP, JSON, JavaScript, object notification, like some kind. And these all are API system like some kind of object orientation. So first we will talk about this kind of web servicing. The term web service, the term web service describes a standardized way of integrating web-based applications using the XML. So like this kind of application open standard over an internet protocol backbone. A web service is any piece of software that makes itself available over the internet and use a standardized XML messaging system. XML is used to encode all communication to a web service. For example, a client invoke a web service by sending a XML message, then wait for a corresponding XML response. Web service can also be published, found, or used on the web. It basically internet web-based protocols. And this is my code about the web service. The sample code when I write it on submit text, and it will work on the full of it HTML protocol. So the web page will show like this when I run it. I already have run it on the and this is just the code. The code I write the full of it, and this is the method and use systems about talking about the use systems. And this is the host, local host, and the some methods we use in I used in JavaScript, and there is our printing function that just the return function that just shows the hello world. It's just the code I run it on the XAMPP, so it's HTML version is like this. It's something like that. So this is all about the web services. Now next, XML to encode my next topic is about xml-rpc. xml-rpc is a remote procedure call protocol which use XML to encode its call, and HTTP as a transport mechanism. XML and RPC also reference generalizing to the use of XML for remote produce call independently of the specific protocol. Now my it was just the theory about it, and this is the whole project is main code. I just ran some network code. Is there are server class. It's called the whole project class is run on the JavaScript, and the whole project is called the web service, and there are two classes: client class client.java and just server class server.java. Now in the client class I have something. I have some Java libraries, which are the building libraries, and then I have I just initialize the input output system and make them null for the initialization, and later I just put the values in them. And here is the public class of client. I create the class here and make and also create a try inside the try. It actually the try will do the it will catch every exceptional and throw it if there is any. In there I just build my object which is socket new socket address and port, and these are the attribute of my socket and object by printing. And then I take input and output. It will and there is catch is really for the catching the exceptional, and it will catch it and output it by printing. And if there is any exceptions left by IO exceptions, it will also catch. First catch is for the host exception, and second catch is for IO exception, and later so there is string line. Basically a string attributes is just null because when it will given by the client, and right now it's not given because we didn't run the program. So next line we have a while loop which will run over, which will end on saying over. When clients typing this over, the type or will become closed, or copy over the whole process, or the whole server will close and show a closing message like connection is closed. Later, and I'm not using by typing this over, the whole connection will become closed. And in there there is a function. Readline is just crossed it because there is better library function which is developed later, and I'm not using it. So it's just telling us that it's just telling me that there is a better library function inside than readline, so we should use it, but I'm not using it right now. And there is a IO exception for catch for IO exception. If there is any, it will print it, and if there is not, so it will just keep it. And try inside another try, there will it is basically the input output which client will typing for himself, type will print it, and the server will show or run this input output systems. And inside and after that input output, if there is any IO exception, if there is any IO exception, catch will print it. And later I have my main function, and which where I declared the server class. First is the object Java class of client object of the client class, and the attributes the host and the proto private. And inside the server class, first is the Java building function or libraries, and then I have my class server function, and there is some private class attributes or variables which are initially none because we'll use it later by user input. and then there is public server, the main function, the main class, and there is
system will say
the
that server is started,
there is the
waiting for the client, because it's
port
basically
for
connected
the
with
there
client.
is object created for the port,
client to
and
be accepted,
it says
or
when
to
the
type something or
when
write
the
something.
system or the
When
project
client
is
accepted,
will
or socket,
run, the system will
I
say
just,
that server is started, waiting for the client. Because it's basically connected with the client, is just waiting for client to be accepted or to type something or write something. When client accept it or socket,
it will show us
I just
client accepted.
I just save it. I just
in there will be
store it by the
as
name of the
data
attribute
input
of
is
socket.
string,
So
and
when
you,
client
client
accept it,
will
it
write something,
automatically
it will
prints the
appear,
client accept.
show us something
Or type something, it will show us by printing type client accepted. And in there, there will be input as data input is string, and new client will write something, it will appear or show us something like client write something or something, typing something.
or the process, or
Then
the
we have same while loop we used in the I have the same while loop I used in the over in the client class and the server class. There is the same when client write over the whole chatting or the process or the server system will close because after client typing this, the whole system will close, or the connection will be closed. And there is a string called line which was declared in here, and it was int or null before, because client will not I will not define it in the code. When the client and server will define it, it will be closed
and show it.
So in line, client will write something,
and
it will conversation will go on like chat. Basically it is the one side chat. Client will always write, and server will always receive the input and show it, never give any input. So it is like that. And then there is catch for IO exception. If there was any IO exception, it will catch it, and after typing over by client, it will close the connection and show us the printing print or the IO
immediately. And in the main function,
print function by closing connection, and then it will close the variable or the file called socket, and also close the input output system. And if there is any IO expression left, it will print it out immediately. And in the main function, I just declared the server object, and there is the port number. Port number is just same as the client port number, but inside the client object we have host also, which is local host. Okay, it is just become wrong. It is 1.7
host
1.
This is the host part,
0.
local host, which is a attribute here, and this is the client. This is the port number, which
is the host
server. It has to be same. If it's not same, or
this is the host part,
the
local host, which is a attribute here, and this is the client. This is the port number, which is same for the client and server. It has to be same. If it's not same or just difference by 1, in the program will not run, because there will be no connection if they have the different port number. So there has to be some same port number for client and the server.
Sorry, I mean the server plus.
Now I'm going to run the programs. First, I'm going to run the client system,
and it's waiting for its client.
The client class,
because I just I just ran, or just
sorry, I mean the server class.
Just made the server part. or the server class. It is basically waiting for the client. When
the server is started and is waiting for its client.
So
because I just waited, I just ran or just just made the server part or the server class. It is basically waiting for the client when the client will reply with this port. So when I run my client
before
part, it also
client class,
it just says that it is connected. Basically, it is connected with the server.
I run
with the server class. The client class is connected with the server class. And now I can see before I was connecting the client class, there was the console part for the only for the server. But now when I run my client part, the console is called the client part. So this means the console, there is two console, and I am just seeing the one console. So open a new console view.
I just want to see what happened if the server
and
is
now
connected
I can see that there are two client console. This is client console which says it connected, and another it is also client console and it also says that it is connected. So now I just want to see what happened if the server is connected or not, or what happened to the server console.
So from here I can run my console or show my console for client and server. Both I can watch because I have here the two client consoles, so I don't need any more client consoles.
From here I can run my console or show my console for client and server. Both I can watch because I have here the two client consoles, so I don't need any more client consoles. So I waiting for the client, just need the server console. And here is the server console. And it is the client console. So first, when I just run my server class, I just see that server has started and it is waiting for the client, and there was no accepting. When I just run my client class, I see that client has connected, and inside the server console I can see that client is accepted. And if I write something in my client console like hi server console, there
because it's just one-way communication,
it will go it will also show in the server console
just for the client part. So only can
below
client write it and server can
I
show
write it in the client console and it shows in the server console.
It's not like
because it's just one-way communication or just one-way gateway through, like just for the client part. So only can client write it and server can show it or make changes, but it never can write something, or it's not like real communication or real chat. If I write something else like
it will also appear in the server console. Whatever I write in here, characters, numbers, I will write in the client console and it will show in the server console. But here is here's something I said that
it will also appear in the server console.
Type over
whatever I write in here,
characters, numbers,
I will write in the client console and it will show in the server console. But here is here's something I said that if client writes source or type over the connection will be closed or over. So in the client console I
just don't follow
over.
I just write over. It is in the lowercase,
but it closed or it shows the over what it never closes because I miss the uppercase systems. I just don't follow it. I just write over. It is in the lowercase, and I write. It was in the uppercase. I write in the lowercase, so it was.
I just write over.
So I write it again over.
When it write it here, it written in here just uppercase. I write it, and then inside the
client's console, I write over and
closing connection.
I just write over for
if I
the
write anything in here,
same
I can write it
way
in here,
it
but
write
will
it
never
here.
appear in
It written in here,
server
just
console. So
uppercase.
which means
I write it, and then inside the server console I can see that it shows closing connection. The connection is closed. If I write anything in here, I can write it in here, but it will never appear in the server console. So which means my server console is not communicated or not connected with the client console anymore. If I write something in here, like
but I never can type it in anything in here.
I cannot write in
just
here because
says
it
that connection
just
is over or closing.
I just write
this is
over
there
and
is
press
nothing
enter.
happening
So
in here, and
that's why it goes in goes down, but I never can type it in anything in here. So the console is just says that connection is over or closing, and this is there is nothing happening in here, and I cannot write anything, or client cannot write anything. This whole connection is now over or closing.
Server is connected through the
This whole system is like this whole system is networking, which is basically based on XML. This is a remoting transport mechanism where client and server is connected through the port system, and the port, when its port is the same, they can connect it. If I change one port, they cannot connect.
Has to be the same.
There, that was 5000. I changed in the client
they cannot connect
client class
it
in
is
5000. So I ran it again.
The data from one to another.
There was error. Yeah, because they cannot find each other. It has to be the same port number.
It is the
Without the same port number, they cannot connect it. It is basically about transporting the data from one to another. It's against this. It's connected.
XML is just a transport
Connected
mechanism
because they have the same port number, and it is the local host server, local host address. So by this address they are both connected with this one, and because XML is just a transport mechanism, it is basically the network. It is basically create the network transportations, which I shows in here, to one class to another class. It can be one. It was inside the one machine or device. It can also shown in the two machines or two devices, like two computers or mobile to computer, computer to mobile. It basically runs over so many things. And in the next I have,
now I'm going to talk about
okay, so this part of my
which is
this part about XML part of my homework or HW is over. Now I'm going to talk about
stand for simple object
now
access
I'm going to
protocol.
talk about
It's a protocol system which is a
SOAP, which
specification
is
for
SOAP,
structure
is also a
in
API
the
system or
implementation
connecting
of web
interconnecting
service in
system.
computer
It
network.
stand for simple object access protocol. It is a protocol system which is a protocol specification for exchanging structure information in the implementation of web service in computer networks. It's basically is the structure of information which is implemented and connected with the computer networks. Like I have one computer and my friend have another computer, and we both need a connection through networks. It just give our structure information and store it, implement it, and connect our devices to each other. So provides a way to communicate between applications running on the different operating system. If I am using Windows and my friend using Mac or maybe Linux or something else, we can both can communicate or connect because we have the same same network protocol system by sharing the structured information between our implementation, web service implementations, and it can also run in different operating system with different technology and different language. If we use different languages, like my Windows has JavaScript or Java language, and if his has only C, then this doesn't matter. We can still make communication with each other, and we can in this protocol specification can exchange our structured information and implement it, and yeah, we can communicate with each other and share applications or some kind of and this is the code for which is written Sublime text for SOAP, or which is stand for Simple Object Access Protocol. And here is something. It is basically the port of HTTP server, and the host as in the web service web address. I just write it XYZ. This was just a UTF, and the connection type I write it. The connection type, it is just like it is just a text contain folder, and it have HTML using it, and character set is UTF-8, and length is like I don't declare it like here right now, and version is 1.2.
Host part is here,
and there is some kind there. These are the link of my link or the host or the connectivity system, which or the connections code or host part is here. I declared these whole code or systems or or the other code written in the database system, which I have in the C drives, in the C drives
XML part,
in the jam folder. But in the jam folder, but here is the main content which I have to which I have to use is as which I have the XML part.
After everything is right, my code is right,
where I have these are the inside the XML part, and the server will also shows the if everything is right, it will show other functions and object page. And here it is, because after everything is right, my code is right, and this these equations come true. Because there is behind there is a data table and some other functions and objects. If everything is connected to each other, then system will print this language like welcome to my web page.
Delete this print and write just return.
It's either said welcome to my web page. But if I change and if I gonna change the print function or the message in the print, or just delete this print and write just return and write something else, it will change instant. I said return
web page and just
hello,
refresh it.
world.
It will show hello world.
And
it just changes.
if I go to the web page and just
or SOAP
refresh it,
system or SOAP,
it will show hello world.
System that is
it will show hello world. It just changed, and
you can change it in here.
this is the
if any function is changed
or SOAP system or SOAP app
function called
system that is generated in here, and
I have
is working. I can change it in here as anything. If any function is changed, I will need to change it through here. This is the basically the calling
another
function called areas. And
JavaScript object.
next I have
open standard
JSON or JSON JSON or JSON, which is another protocol system, and this is called JavaScript object notification. Is an open standard file format that is used human readable text to transmit data objects consisting of attribute, value pairs, and array data type. Basically, it is basically Java has some data types like array, linked list, and some kind of things. These are also used as attribute, and whole things. When the whole array is using as attributes, user or the normal human who don't know CC or some kind these kind of languages, they don't understand this whole array things or linked list things, or the tree systems or tree binary trees. So for people who's normal people, human, for normal human, reading or writing converting these things is not easy. To make them easy, these actually this JSON protocol system is for. This is just make human readable text, converting the Java object oriented or Java object notation standard file format to human readable. It's just transfer or transmit or just converting. It's like a converter, like file converter. It's just convert JavaScript object oriented file to human readable text. Like we write in the notebooks or Microsoft Word. It's just human language. Human can read it, write it, and people who knows who's not illiterate like read it or write it. These JSON or JavaScript object files, but in this is the Java. This Java system cannot read it, or this cannot be written or read by normal people who don't know Java CC concepts. So these JSON or JavaScript object notations, open standard file system is does make people understand these Java file system or format system, and this also means that it is easy for machine to freeze and generate. It is based on the subset of the JavaScript of the JavaScript programming language standard ECMA 262 3rd edition December 1999. Exchanging the data is basically JSON applications or system is means exchanging that data is just exchanging. Like I said before in the soap part, that my friend and I have different web system or different data connection system, but we are different web system or different software or technologies, but our we can connect through the same different with the same network system, because we have the same network, we are sharing the same network. And like this JSON or JSON is doing the same thing. It's just exchanging data. We were exchanging the structure information, and here in SOAP, and we are exchanging the data structure information, and in JSON or JSON system or application, the data people files is exchanging the data, like from JavaScript system is just translated to human readable systems. When it's exchanging data between browsers and server, the data can only be text. It has to be text data. It cannot be another type of data, or like a picture or images or video or some kind of audio clip. It cannot be like that. It has to be text data, because it just convert text data in the browsers or server and exchange because inside behind the browser we developer develop the code, and it just transfer or transmit or exchange with transmit by the JSON and exchanges by the human readable language. Like when we you open something like this,
they can read
like
it,
this system,
language,
when we
but
open it, we
it's
see
written
that these languages are we see that these languages are human language. Like any people who can read English, they can read it. It's just a normal English language, but it's written by
it is basically the Java.
if it's written by the by JavaScript or something else, it cannot be written that easily. It cannot be read by anyone easily. So it's just when the programmer or developer runs behind the code, it is basically the Java inside the Java, but it's transformed and it transmit to the normal human readable languages when it shows in the server or browsers. When people browse it and see, it is basically the exchange file or exchange data they see. They saw.
Or the dummy functions
So
in here.
this is the code, and this is the system web service and where the local host where I put the functions or sorry, I mean put the project or the dummy functions in here. And this is the local host area for my schema, and this is the title of I basically declare with the product title. I declared the title with product, and description, little description about product, and there is properties about IDs, names, price, and then it's basically shows everything in later. So if it is working, I can there. If it's working, I can write system and it will return me if it's really working.
If is whole system is meaning whole system is connecting to each other and is working, then it will show the whole system is really connected with each other, and every connection is
whole system is meaning whole system is connecting to each other and is working, then it will show the
things.
The whole system is really connected with each other and every connection is okay, then it will by
hello world.
Yeah,
And it's okay. And
yeah, it shows that hello world, because it I said to return these things, return this string, and it is really returning this string. It says that
this is the
hello world, and it's okay. And this is how the JSONs work, and there is the database implementation or database theories and parts behind it, and lots of works, but this is the main HTML part which I have to
the protocol
push it in the
REST stand for REST also is called
now
is
my
RESTful
last
API.
and fifth topic is
stand
the
for
REST.
representation
REST
of,
means REST, which is basically a
API
protocol system or the protocol application. REST stands for REST also is called is RESTful API. It stands for representational state transfer. It is a API which is a artificial style for network communication between applications. Like we have two networks and we want to communicate with each other. Like I am using a net connection, and my friend using another company's net connection, and we want to connect with each other with some applications, and like Facebook or Viber. In some application we want to connect to each other, and the architecture system which is the API. REST helps us to transfer our states or representational transfer. State transfer is worked by the REST, and it's related say on a stateless protocol, which is HTTP for the interaction. I mean, when I and my friend interact with each other, we need some website or protocols or some kind of applications. Say the application is Facebook or WhatsApp. So now we need to connect with each other, interact with you, want to send something with each other, which we mean by transfer. So it's basically handled by the REST, which is also called the RESTful API. It's a API which is a protocol controller, which helps the architectural style for network communications, and also it usually works on the HTTP protocol for interaction with each other. And I made a little slide or document system for documentation for this theory presentation of REST. This RESTful API has HTTP connection, or is just usually work for HTTP server. So HTTP has some symmetrical things like get, post, put, delete, and these are the resource of HTTP. So what kind of resource is this? Like get is the resource of retrieval reference resource, and post is create resource, put is upload resources, and delete means delete resource. So these resources are held under the HTTP server. When we say the get resource, or when mean something, some function or some variable calling, so then this get is working. This get is working in the HTTP, like and post, like we post in the Facebook or some kind of social media. The post means creating some resource for our that post. And put, if I want to put some input or values, or I want to go some website, I need to put some input, like in the URL I have to put some the address or some kind of numbers. So there I just update the resources. They already have some resource, like Google. When I open my browser called Google Chrome, it already there was Google site, and I just update it by putting some inputs, or like these www.facebook.com. I just put it and update it and go to the Facebook. And delete resource, I just basically delete someone deleting something, just mean that. And here is I just show a picture of these four resources in HTTP server, which is the main resources, and I show it through a picture so it can be figurized or sensible for easily. If this is my database of my system, like Facebook or Viber, so these are the resources or the functions or the main resources which are coming to this database. Like push, when I want to push some article, and post. When I want to post some article, I mean creating some status or articles and creating an ID and pushing it to the database. And when I mean get some article, I mean when I say get some article or get some data or values or variables, that means if there is already something, some values, functions or variable inside the database. I just need to pull it from here. I just need to get my value or just the variable to pop out from the database. So I need to use the get resource. And next I have put resource. Put resource when I already have my database system or some kind of application or something, and then I need to put something else. What thing I need to put? I need to put some, like I need to update something, I need to update my username, or I need to change my password. So I basically putting something inside the database and making some difference or making some updates. So then I use the put resource, and this is goes to this way, and then delete. Delete a resource is basically means I have some data, values or functions or some kind of applications, and I need to delete it. I don't want it, I don't need it anymore. So when I need to delete it, I just call this delete things and just delete the delete that resource. This is how it works. It all goes to the database and connected to the database and connected to the database by REST. I mean REST, and which is stands for representational state of transfer. And this is an API. It goes through REST API and RESTful. I mean the whole thing is RESTful API. It goes to the RESTful through the RESTful API to the database and connect to it, and then do this operation or do this resources things. So this is the little document about my RESTful API. And now here is the code. I just made a dummy project in Java which says the table project table, and inside there is some classes like article controller, article test, login test, logout test, test user login successful, and user table succeeder. And this is the login test. These are the main things inside in my dummy. This is the login test of my dummy project, and here I just testing the login when users want to log in. This is the login test with their usernames and password. This is the login test of they can put this is the login test of my project, and here is just testing the logging. When users want to log in, they have to try with their usernames and password. First time they can put their email IDs and password, and by these they can connect to that system. And then before that it was the test user login successfully. It's basically when when someone first time in my system, they have to register or log in to this. So this is that for that. Here is the email ID. By email ID and password they can reach, and there is the there is this is for the how many users can use it, and what is the things data they need, IDs, name, email created updated at API token. This system will give them API tokens, some API tokens, and it will also says when it created, when it's uploaded. When it uploaded, it automatically shows it uploaded in that time. And log out. After login, they need to log out with the same API token and the username and password. So this is already saved in here, and register. When someone first time to visit this system or to go through this system, they need to register and go through the test case. They give their names. Here is the dummy names, or the sample name is called John, and his email IDs and some imaginary password for him, and also some API also said some token number which is also delivered for just for their JSON. And his data was here, and the title is called. When he fill up all these, the registration is over. And for article test, there is every article user goes to the main function systems. They need the articles, and the title is called rodem, and there is the body, which is every article is described in here. Basically, is whole things is working in the HTML, but inside here in the JavaScript is just connecting to the public here,
and here it is
public functions, and it just connecting the whole things. It is already is written inside the database, and in XAMPP and the HTML system. I'm just showing the JavaScript systems here, and here it is just they are just connecting to each other. It just makes the connections. And
HTML
article controller, there is the article controller. Article controller is also same. This is just the Java. These are the Java system. These are the XAMPP system. HTML, all HTML file is written in the XAMPP system.
It
in
is
my
just modifying the
C drive.
I just modifying the my
XAMPP.
HTTP
Here is
here
HTTP file, HTTP doc is written here. Just is need to
user part, user basically.
here it is just modifying the system. I just modifying the my HTTP systems in here, and
Creating the figure.
yeah, it's just figured in here. And now is just user part, user basically
Something dummy project.
user table.
For the dummy samples.
User table succeeder is just Seeder is just user. I'm just
email and password
creating the faker for the fake or the dummy project system. When I am creating something dummy project, I need these for the dummy samples and etc. It's just creating the name, email and password for users, fake email, fake name.
Here
So it's just for in the Laravel systems is just functions or the library functions maybe in the Laravel system. And here and here is the API REST API's router, which is written in the Sublime text, and this is the router system when the everything is connected to the router, and the
everything is shows in here.
And to the resources, there are all the resources which I was showing in the in my little presentation document. I saw the resources like get, post, put, delete, and everything is
from the user
shows in here. In first the system is get read the article inside the article system. It will get some information from the users and others users. From the users it will get the information, and it will collect it and store it and return to the system, and it will store and found by the IDs of the users. But when you need to post something, it is the post. It is the post resource is called. The second resource post is called when you need to modify something, or when you need to update something. And there is put. Put means you need to basically, it means you need to update or create a post. Post was for creating something. Post was for creating something. When you need to when user need to create something or create some new articles in the table system in here. In my project table project, when user need to create something new, he will post articles or maybe some attributes, and when some articles,
then it will update.
when put means it will update when user post something, and by creating some new things, some new new attributes, some new articles, and then it will update automatically. Push will call and update through the user's ID. It will update by the user's ID. And by delete, it will use user ID to delete it. To delete the specific things that they want to delete it. And then it was basically the port number. Port number will at the end of everything. The port number will be returned by the user by by the system. The port number will be written by the system. The port number is it is basically that port number which is used by the user when they are using their internet system like this. They are using this port like this port. They are using this for this port for this application, for this system or this dummy project. They need to return this port for finishing or visiting part of the system. And yeah, that's all about my fast homework of CC 3 to 7, and I almost covered my 5. I think I done my best, and I almost covered the 5 topics our respective sir gave us to do. So hoping for the best. Okay.